Okay, in this lecture, we'll discuss about termination step of transcription. So this is the usual disclaimer that this presentation is meant for the students of life sciences and it should not be used for any other purpose, copied or posted on any site without the permission of the author, that is me. And some of the pictures in the presentations have been taken from public domain websites to make the topic easy to understand. The credit for such pictures remain with the original publisher. So we have discussed in earlier lectures about the first two steps of transcription, that is initiation and elongation. And what is the enzyme which is responsible for transcription in bacteria? As I said earlier, initiation is the most critical step because well begun is half done. It is highly precise. So is termination. Termination is as precise as initiation. However, our knowledge about the termination process of transcription in bacteria is relatively less compared to the knowledge of the initiation. In termination, basically what happens? In termination, see, the phosphodiester bond formation, it stops, it ceases. Similarly, the RNA-DNA hybrid, we have seen that during the elongation phase, RNA, the newly synthesized RNA, is wound around the DNA and the extent of pairing is around 12 base pair and we call it as RNA-DNA hybrid. So RNA dissociates from the DNA and we have seen about 17 base pair of DNA in the transcription bubble is melted, means the two strands are separated. So that melted DNA reassociates, rewinds, and RNA polymerase leaves the transcription bubble. These three things happen during the termination event. RNA DNA hybrid dissociates, which is about 12 base pair, melted region of DNA, that is 17 base pair, that rewinds, and RNA pol, which is a part of the RNA transcription bubble, that also leaves the complex. Now there are two different types of transcription termination mechanisms. Two different types. One is intrinsic, which is also called as row independent, right? And the second one is factor dependent, where a protein factor, there are quite a few of them, but Rho and NUS, and of the two also, Rho is the most commonly studied. These protein factors, they assist RNA polymerase terminate the transcription event. So let us first understand the row independent transcription termination, which is very common. The signal, it is called as intrinsic. It is called as intrinsic. What does it mean? That means the signal intrinsic. Signal for termination are there in the newly synthesized RNA, in the transcribed region of the DNA, which is nothing but newly synthesized RNA. What does it mean? It means that the signal for transcription termination are there in the synthesized RNA only. And what is that signal? Signal typically is a GC-rich palindrome. So this is a new word that is being introduced. It is a GC-rich palindrome followed by an AT-rich region of the DNA. In DNA, periodically you will have this kind of things occurring, a GC-rich sequence followed by a AT-rich region. And that GC-rich sequence is simply not any other sequence, it is a palindromic sequence. What is meant by palindromic sequence? We'll understand that. Palindromic sequence, if you go by the bookish language, is a word. Palindrome means a word or a sentence or a verse that reads the same from right to left as it does from left to right. Means when you read it from right to left or when you read it from left to right, that sequence of letters, if it is a word or a sentence or a phrase, is same. Such a word, such a sentence, such a phrase is called as a palindrome. For example, radar. So if you read it in this direction, it is R-A-D-A-R, and if you read it in this direction, it is again R-A-D-A-R. This is a phrase, madam, I am madam. If you read it in this direction, it is the same, and if you read it in this direction, it is the same. So such a word, such a phrase, such a sentence, such a sequence is called as palindromic sequence. So if you take the example of a palindromic sequence, a DNA sequence, you can take this. So if you read it in this direction 5' to 3', it is the same. C, C, G, C, G, G. And if you read in opposite direction, again 5' to 3', it is again C, C, G, C, G, G. So the sequence is same, and there is usually a excess of symmetry. So if you see the sequence, the two strands from the axis of symmetry, if you go in opposite direction, you will find it is the same. For example, GCC, and it is also GCC. Okay, such a sequence is called as a palindromic sequence. And this palindromic sequence, what we are saying, it should be GC rich. So periodically in DNA, you have these kinds of palindromic sequences. They are not only required during transcription for termination event, but they are also the target site for restriction endonucleases, or what we commonly call them as restriction enzymes. So the target site for binding of restriction enzymes is also these kinds of palindromic sequences. So a GC rich palindrome followed by a run of AT rich region. Typically you will have several A's, and in the complementary strand you will have T's. When such a sequence is transcribed, it generates self-complementary strands in the RNA. And those self-complementary regions, they base pair like this. And this is what is these are the nucleotides which are not complementary. They don't have a complementary nucleotide, and therefore they just bulge out, they just loop out. So this is called as a typical hairpin like structure. So this is an example of secondary structure of RNA. So a hairpin like structure followed by a run of at least 4 U residues. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 U residues. Why you will have U's? Because on the complementary, on the template strand of the DNA, you have A. So as I said, AT rich region. So you have multiple A's, and when such a DNA sequence is transcribed, you get U's. So a GC rich palindrome gives rise to self-complementary regions in the RNA, which given a chance form a hairpin and followed by a run of poly U. This is the classical row independent termination signal. Row independent termination signal. So RNA polymerase, stops at this hairpin, briefly stops at this hairpin, and because you have U's on the RNA, newly synthesized RNA, and you have A's in the DNA, template strand of DNA. Okay. So these AU base pairs are the weakest. So this is an opportunity where RNA DNA hybrid dissociates because these AU base pairs are the weakest, and the unwound DNA, the melted DNA rewinds, and the RNA polymerase, pulls out of the complex. So an example is given over here. So this is a GC rich palindromic sequence of the DNA. This is one strand of the DNA. You can, practice it at home also. And this is another strand of the DNA. So if you read it in this direction, and if you read it in this direction, it should be same. And N are any nucleotides. Okay. And this is the center of axis, symmetry axis here. Okay, for example, if you read it G, C, 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 like this. Or if you read it in this direction from the symmetry axis, C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G. And in this direction from the symmetry axis, C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G, like this. And this is the template strand, let's say. This is the template strand. So when it gets transcribed, you get this RNA, and this RNA has got self-complementary regions. Okay. So if you pull this here, what is going to happen? This G will be complemented to C. This C will be complemented to G. So it is going to form this kind of a hairpin. And this is the region which has looped down. What is this region? This is N, any nucleotide here, and this is the N here. Okay, so it will just form a loop. It will bulge out, it will form a loop because there are no complementary bases, but it is here there are complementary bases, so they will unite, they will form base pairs and give you a hairpin like structure, and here you have U's. So minimum 4 U's, this becomes a classical row independent termination signal. Okay, so if you pull this DNA, this strand this way, and this strand this way, double-stranded DNA with a GC rich palindromic sequence, so you are likely to get this kind of structure. This is called as cruciform structure of DNA. This is the secondary structure of DNA, cruciform or cruciform, and hairpin is the secondary structure of RNA. So this is RNA, and this is DNA secondary structure. So you can practice it at home also. Now the second type of termination is this row dependent. Okay, factor dependent, in that rho is a very common factor. So rho is a protein and it is basically a hexamer. Hexamer means made up of 6 subunits, and those subunits are identical, each having a molecular mass of around 275 kilodalton. And it is a member of ATP dependent hexameric helicase family. So you have protein families, and this particular protein, rho protein, it is a member of hexameric helicase family. Yeah? And each subunit, it has got two types of binding site. One is RNA binding, with which it will bind to the RNA, and the other site is an ATP hydrolyzing site. There is ATP site, you can say, where ATP hydrolyzing ability is located in the same subunit. So each subunit will have these two types of sites, one specific for binding to the RNA and the other one specific for hydrolyzing the ATP, or you can say ATP site. Now on the RNA, the newly synthesized RNA, you have what are called as RUT, means row utilization sites. So row utilization sites are there in the newly synthesized RNA, which are typically rich in C's and poor in G's. And these are the sites where rho protein will bind to the newly synthesized RNA. Rho protein will not bind randomly at any place, rather it will bind to these RUT sites. Please remember, we are not calling them as consensus sequences. Consensus means when you screen large number of RNAs, you will find the same sequence repeated at a particular position in all the RNAs. In such a situation, we call it as a consensus sequence. We are not calling it as a consensus sequence, okay, because it is not the same in all RNAs, but they're specific. Specific for what? That they provide binding surface for the rho protein, and therefore those sequences are called as, or those sites are called as RUT sites, row utilization sites. Similarly, about 100 nucleotides away from the RUT, you have row sensitive pause sites. Row sensitive pause sites. So where rho protein will go and pause, and the location is about 100 nucleotides from the RUT sites. So rho protein, it should not be RNA pol, actually it should be rho protein. Rho protein bound to RUT moves along RNA and pause at the pause site. So we have just seen that rho protein can bind to RUT site, so it binds and it moves. Suppose this is the RUT site, it will bind over here, and 100 nucleotide away there is a you can say the pause site is there, so it will move along the RNA about 100 nucleotides, and the energy for that movement is provided by the hydrolysis of ATP. So rho has got an ATP hydrolyzing site also, ATP site also, so it will utilize energy generated by hydrolysis of ATP for powering its movement from RUT to rho sensitive pause site. It's mentioned over here. The helicase, it is a member of that helicase family, so it has got that helicase activity. This helicase, after reaching the pause site, it unwinds the RNA DNA duplex. So once it reaches this place, okay, this is the pause site, So what it will do, it will unwind these two, it will dissociate these two RNA DNA duplex. DNA, the melted DNA, these two strands, this is one strand of DNA and this is the second strand of DNA. So these two, which is about 17 base pair, 17 base pair of DNA, it will be rebound, and this RNA pol, the yellow colored thing, it will also dissociate. It will, this is how it will bring about the termination of the transcription. But it is assisted by RNA polymerase, is assisted by the Rho protein. Rho protein, in majority of the cases, the termination sites are there in the RNA structure itself, secondary structure. A typical hairpin followed by run of poly is the classical Rho independent termination site. But in cases where RNA fails to generate this kind of site, or these sites are not there, Rho protein will bring about termination of the transcription. So as I said, besides Rho, there are other factors also, particularly one other common factor is Nus factor. It also helps in, it also mediates termination at some specific sites. Similarly, another type of transcription termination is exercised based on nutrient availability. So we will be seeing this sometime later, and that is called as attenuation control. Based on availability of a particular kind of nutrient, transcription of certain enzymes will be turned off. So that is called as attenuation control. We'll learn about this in more details when we see gene regulation, when we study gene regulation. In bacteriophage lambda, we'll also be discussing this in greater details in further lectures. Certain proteins are synthesized, they are called as anti-termination factors. They are called as anti-termination factors. These proteins, in presence of these proteins, RNA polymerase, get past the termination sites. In presence of these proteins, RNA polymerase doesn't terminates transcription at those termination site. Rather, in presence of these proteins, RNA pol is allowed to go past these transcription termination sites. Now, post-transcriptional modifications. So, I told you earlier also, and I'm repeating once again, that messenger RNA in case of prokaryotes doesn't undergo any post-transcriptional modification. In fact, the transcription and translation, they go hand in hand. So we have seen it earlier with the help of a picture that even before the transcription of messenger RNA is over, its translation starts. In bacteria, there is no lag phase. There is no time lag. Both of them go hand in hand. And therefore, there is absolutely no chance for the messenger RNA to undergo any modification. However, the tRNAs and the messenger RNAs, they undergo some modification after the transcription, and we call it as post-transcriptional, after the transcription is over. So they undergo some modification. What type of modification they undergo? There are three types of modification. Basically, tRNAs or rRNAs or tRNAs alone, they're synthesized in groups, and then they're cleaved post-transcriptionally. Individual tRNA or individual rRNAs, they will be cleaved from a bigger primary transcript after the transcription is over. That is first kind of what you can say modification. Second is, in certain tRNAs, some nucleotides are added after the transcription. That means particularly nucleotide CCA at the 3' end of the tRNAs. They have CCA is the typical 3 nucleotides which are present at the 3' end. So these will be added at the 3' end of certain tRNAs after the transcription is over. And we have learned earlier also, and we'll be discussing it in more details, that tRNA particularly has large number of modified bases. So those modification of nitrogen bases, it also takes place after the transcription is over. So these are the three kinds of modifications that takes place, that happen after the transcription is over, particularly in tRNAs and rRNAs. So I have tried to show it over here. For example, a primary transcript like this is synthesized. What does it have? It has got a 16S RNA, some spacer is there, then you have a tRNA in between, then there is a 26S ribosomal RNA, and there is some spacer here, and then this, the one which is shown in green, is this one. This is the 5S ribosomal RNA. So all of them are synthesized in a primary transcript, and after the transcription is over, they are precisely cleaved from the transcript. 16S ribosomal RNA, this tRNA, they will be cleaved from the primary transcript. It's 23S ribosomal RNA, like that. Similarly, you can have a group of tRNAs, different tRNAs, transcribed as a primary transcript, and after the transcription is over, each one individually will be cleaved like this. You have different tRNAs. You can have a group of tRNAs, same type of tRNAs, tRNA coding specific for one amino acid. Say there are 3 or 4 copies, so all of them are transcribed simultaneously as a primary transcript, and later on they are cleaved. So nucleases are the enzymes which are required for cleaving these individual ribosomal RNAs or tRNAs from the primary transcript, and they are highly specific. I have given a couple of examples here. Ribonuclease P, for example, and this is very special because now we know that this is an RNA enzyme. Earlier it was thought to be a protein enzyme, but now our understanding is clear that it is also an example of RNA enzyme. It generates correct 5' end of tRNAs. Ribonuclease P is responsible for generating right 5' end of the 5' end right nucleotide at the 5' end of the tRNA. So it cleaves in such a manner that you have at the 5' end, typically at the tRNA you have either a G or an A at the 5' end. So G or A, it is phosphorylated at the 5'. There is a phosphate group at the 5' end. So typically ribonuclease P helps generating tRNAs with A or G at the 5' end. Similarly, ribonuclease 3, it cleaves the 16, 5 and 23S ribosomal RNA from the transcript. So this is the transcript. From this 16S ribosomal RNA, 23S ribosomal RNA and 5S ribosomal RNA, they will be cleaved, precisely cleaved you can say, with the help of this ribonuclease 3 enzyme. So this is one type of modification that takes place in tRNAs and ribosomal RNAs in prokaryotes. What are the other modifications? There are other modifications also. There are 2 other types of modification. One, as I said earlier, that in some tRNAs, the 3' end of all tRNAs has to be CCA. But some tRNAs during transcription, they don't have this CCA at the 3' end. So this CCA, these 3 nucleotides, they are added at the 3' end after the transcription. Similarly, as we said earlier, tRNAs contain a lot of modified bases. So those modification of bases also take place after the transcription is over. Normal bases are modified after the transcription. For example, ribothiamidylate and pseudouridyllate, they are derived from uridylate. So from U is the normal base. You generate these 2 types of modified bases which are present in the tRNA, ribothiamidylate and pseudouridyllate. These are the 2 bases which are the derivatives of uridylate. After the transcription is over, they are converted into, uridylate is converted into these 2 types of bases, and which are abundantly present in tRNAs. So these are the kind of modification. One is that ribosomal RNA and tRNAs are synthesized in group in primary transcript, and then they are cleaved with the help of specific nucleases. Second, in some tRNAs, this CCA is added at the 3' end. And the third, in tRNAs, some of the bases, they undergo modification. For example, U undergoes modification to ribothiamidylate and pseudouridyllate. Now, since transcription is an important process in bacteria, so it has been in focus as a target for certain drugs, transcription inhibitors. Okay, I mentioned over here that being an important process, it has been the target of some antibiotics, and two specific antibiotics are worth mentioning: rifamycin, okay, and rifampicin is the semisynthetic form of rifamycin. What is the source organism? Source organism is Streptomyces species. Certain strains of Streptomyces from certain strains of Streptomyces, this particular antibiotic is produced. And what is the site of action? This antibiotic inhibits initiation of transcription. Initiation of transcription. Basically, the site is, I think, the beta subunit of RNA pol, where it goes in bind and doesn't allow the initiation of transcription. There is another antibiotic called actinomycin D. It is also obtained from certain other strains of Streptomyces. What does it do? It binds to DNA template, double-stranded DNA. It very tightly binds to double-stranded DNA and doesn't allow it to act as an efficient template. So if this antibiotic remains bound to the double-stranded DNA, obviously this DNA strand cannot act as a good template, and therefore the transcription will not take place. So these two antibiotics, you must remember, these are the antibiotics which are interfering at the transcription or in the transcription, different stages of transcription. So this is all about the termination step of transcription. Thank you very much.